Hey everybody, this is Herschel from High School Top 200, and my number 8 team on the national rankings is Hastings Boys High School. Now, the returning national champions are going to be obviously a bit short on the talent that they had last year. Obviously, it's not going to be as good because they had some definite superstars leave that team, and one of them has even been selected for the New Zealand under 20 straight out of high school, which is a massive deal. Um, and so obviously these guys have lost a lot of talent. The good thing about this team is that um, because they have their academy that they have going on through the rugby program. The academy has brought up kids through the grades, through the age grades, making sure that all these boys learn proper technique and be able to play within the position and know exactly what their roles are, things like that. And so it's really helped in developing Hastings as a full rugby program from under 14s all the way up to first 15. So they do have a lot of players on the side that they can choose from, and then they have a lot of young guys that are coming through the ranks that are really making a big step up. Now, in the front row, they still have Zach Southwick, Damaris Hokianga, who are probably going to be the main guys in there. You still got Pusala Hunt as well. You still got guys like that. But with this team, even though the front row is going to be a pretty strong one, they still have to front up. They still have to, even though the returning players, like obviously the team's not going to lie down for them. Who cares? Like if they have Hastings boys, these boys are still going to have to mongrel up and sort of show some real toughness from the front to lead this team. I kind of think that and feel that as if you don't have a front row that really matches up physically and doesn't back down, the whole team kind of just files in behind them and follows suit, and then you just have a bit better foundation for your team. Now, in the locking position, and it's a bit different too, because they have James Green, who's a really good guy, a really good jumper. He's about 6'5", I think he is. Then you still got Emil Crichton, who's a blindside lock kind of kid. Then you got Sean Baker, who's another kid who's a really good lock as well. You still got Donovan Matida, who's going to be their main guy, and he is probably looked at as an open side. Even though he's not really an open side, I still think he's kind of like a blind side as well. If he's at open side, he's really going to have to lift his speed. And then obviously you have Julian Jerk, something like that. Goerke. I think they're South Africans actually, but Julian's on that team as well, and he's a big lock blindside prospect as well, and just a real tough guy as well within all the tight stuff. And then of course you got Liam Newty John, who's going to be New Zealand secondary school prospect, and a pretty strong one as well. Now all these guys, they can actually switch and move around in those different positions as well. Actually, a kid has just signed over, has just enrolled into Hastings Boys from Napier Boys, Connor, and so Connor is actually an open side, blind side as well, and may be able to, I guess, fulfill that position as well. They still got Charlie Verker, who's another kid as well, who's a young kid coming up, who is a sharp, real sharp player as well. There's another kid, Nayani Waters, who's also a flanker. I think he's Aborigine too. I actually think he's an Aborigine kid, and he seems to get a lot of praise out of out of Hastings boys as well, and Damon Burrow is the other one. Actually, Damon's one that everybody's talking about for open side, but being year 11 and being in an open side is going to be pretty hard. And so I think if he was to sit back for a little bit and just watch on the side, I think it may be more beneficial to him as a young player to actually watch these guys go at it. Maybe Donovan does go up to open side, or however, or Connor goes in there, and however the way that they do it. But sometimes sitting back and learning is better than actually getting in there. Have a look at Aaron Rodgers, I guess, if that's like a reference that you guys can understand. But that forward pack is going to be really, really strong, really mobile and athletic as well. And it's not an easy team to match up against player for player. Like there's just not a lot of rosters like them around the country. Tama Dunn, Charlie Verco are probably the two guys that are looking at halfback. I'm not. I think Tama Dunn is probably the guy that they're looking at to go ahead. Latrell Arkeong is another one too. And I don't know if he's a halfback first five or if he's a first five halfback, but I know that he can play both. I'm not too sure which one he's actually better at. I actually think I would want him as a first five, then have Jordan Thompson Dunn at second five, have Andrew Hayward maybe at centre, and I think that dynamic between those three, all being young players, all being guys who are real athletic and real creative on the run, are all going to match up pretty well, where they'll be able to break a lot of lines and get defenders out of position, things like that. So I think it would go Latrell at first five, Jordan and Andrew in the centres. And Andrew Hayward's a year 12, but he's like a young year 12. He should be year 11. But he's another kid that you should probably watch out for as well. Gideon Kautai is going to be at fullback, and I think that that's an obvious one. And he's going to be one that will control everything from the back and making sure all the boys are in line and making sure that everybody knows what's going on. Now, the two Fijian wingers that they have are just big athletic runners that they just go all day. So for Hastings to simplify the game, having guys like Jordan and Andrew, feeding guys like Joeli and Joeli Tora and Michael Naitoani, just feeding them open spaces, one-on-one situations, things like that, and then those guys are going to be scoring pretty much every single time. And it's going to be, it'll be cool to see if you can get a guy like Julian or Meal or, Liam Newty-John out there amongst the centres and wingers, and then seeing how that dynamic plays out and how defenses will switch to even try and match up with what they've got as well. Like, that would be pretty cool to see how teams would defend that, because there's a lot there with size, pace, explosives of strength, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Hastings is going to do real well. They're probably going to be... I've picked them as my highest Super 8 team. But they're all kind of... There's not much that really separates all those teams. And so, it's going to be pretty cool to see how it all turns out. If you're watching... if you're in Hastings or in the Hawke's Bay and you have a chance to go and see Hastings boys, go along and see them, support the boys, and support the rugby program there at Hastings boys. That's my review for 2018 number 8 Hastings boys. Peace.